and we do start with that breaking news. Former U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger has died at the age of 100. He served as America's top diplomat and national security advisor during the Nixon and Ford administrations. In a statement, Kissinger Associates, a political consulting firm that he founded, said the German-born former diplomat died in his home in Connecticut. The statement from Kissinger Associates did not give a cause of death. Here's a look back at his life from our diplomatic correspondent, James Landale.
Yeah, thank you for being here, Henry.
To some, Henry Kissinger was one of the Cold War's most influential statesmen, who advised presidents and prime ministers for decades.
In considering the Ukraine issue.
To others, he was a war criminal.
Don't take calls for the arrest of Henry Kissinger for war crimes.
Whose ruthless defense of American interests cost thousands of lives. He was born Heinz Kissinger in Nazi Germany. His Jewish family fled to America in 1938. But the young Henry, as he became, returned to Europe fighting with the US Army. In peacetime, the soldier became a scholar at Harvard University, making his name arguing that nuclear weapons could be used in conventional wars.
I believe it is technically possible to conduct a resistance with a limited employment of nuclear weapons, though that is less desirable.
Today I am pleased to announce the first appointment to the White House staff.
It was President Nixon who brought him into government, first as National Security Advisor, then Secretary of State, a double act seeking to reshape the Cold War by balancing competing world powers. Kissinger drove America's re-engagement with communist China, paying secret visits to its leaders, paving the way for an historic first visit by a US president in 1972. He sought to improve relations with the Soviet Union through negotiations about trade and arms control. And in the Middle East, he coined a new phrase, shuttle diplomacy, as he flew between capitals to try to constrain Arab-Israeli conflict. His belief was in realpolitik, the idea that national self-interest trumped human rights or shared values.
No nation can make its survival dependent on the goodwill of another state.
All this brought him some global celebrity.
I don't stand on protocol. If you'll just call me Excellency, we'll be getting...
We believe that peace is at hand.
But Kissinger's fame became notoriety as he struggled to end America's involvement in the Vietnam War by bombing Cambodia. This cut supplies to North Vietnam, but also killed hundreds of thousands. His critics accused him of war crimes. His supporters welcomed a Nobel Peace Prize.
Nothing that has happened to me in public life has moved me more than this award.
He was criticized too for supporting authoritarian anti-communist leaders such as General Pinochet in Chile. He backed the coup that brought the general's brutal junta to power.
It was at the height of the Cold War, so that the United States could not be totally indifferent to the question of a communist regime in Chile.
I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow.
Kissinger was considered so indispensable, he survived the Watergate crisis and was kept on by Gerald Ford. But he fell out of favour in Washington, loathed by the left, distrusted by the right, and began a life of lucrative consultancy. Thus, Henry Kissinger, a scholar and statesman, a cynic at times cavalier with people's lives, above all a diplomat, always ready to talk.
Henry Kissinger has died at the age of 100.